India's cancer mortality growth rate is among the highest globally. 87% of cancer cases are detected at advanced stages, and 58% of cancer related fatalities worldwide occur in Asia. Look at the graphics. It's very, very disturbing. 1.38 million new breast cancer cases each year. Every 4 minutes, an Indian woman is diagnosed with breast cancer. 4,58,000 deaths from breast cancer every year. This is really, really alarming. One woman dies of breast cancer every 13 minutes in India. In India, the incidence of cancer is around 100 out of every 1 lakh people. Estimates indicate that the real incidence of cancer is 1.5 to 3 times higher than the reported cases. 2025, the estimated incidence of cancer is projected to be 15.7 lakh. Look at the imbalance. Look at the inequality. 175 districts in India have comprehensive cancer centers. But 40% of these centers are concentrated in metros and in state capitals. According to the International Agency for Research on Cancer, IARC, India is likely to report 170% increase in the number of new breast cancer cases and a 200% rise in deaths due to breast cancer by 2050. Hello and welcome back to the Open Hour. This episode we focus on palliative care. Palliative care in India, the realities, complexities and challenges. Palliative care in India has gained recognition over the past few decades, and it remains a very important aspect of health care. Palliative care focuses on the quality of improving life, whether it's cancer-related cases or whether it's a chronic illness. Palliative care needs our attention. In the studios, we have a distinguished panel. Dr. M.R. Rajagopal, a Padma Shri Award winner and Chairman Emeritus of the Pallium India, Trivandrum. Mr. Binod Hariharan, who is the present chairman of Pallium India, and Dr. Asha Deshmukh, who is heading the Sparky Foundation of the Palliative Care in Nasik. We would be talking to each one of them to get their insights, their inputs, and of course, their expertise. Ladies and gentlemen, the Open Hour welcomes you to this episode called Palliative Care, the realities, complexities, and challenges. Hello, and welcome to the Open Hour. In our continuing series of palliative care, my guest today is Binod Hariharan, who is the chairman of Pallium India. It's a privilege, sir, to meet you. It's a privilege and honor to speak to you because this is one of the segments or sectors of the economy which does not actually receive much attention. And I'm fortunate to have with me somebody who cares for this particular area, specific area of concern. Binod, thank you so much for joining us. To straight away get into it, Binod, can I ask you,
How does an engineer get into palliative care?
Um, First off, thank you, Dr. Jain, for having me here. It's always a pleasure speaking about palliative care, and especially with someone like you. It's always a pleasure. What I wanted to say first, I think you have laid it out there. So basically, I'm not a doctor. Um, in fact, I'm not even a what they call a healthcare professional, a trained healthcare professional. So um, this is, I think this dates back to the early 90s when I was fresh out of college after my engineering degree. When I was fortunate to see palliative care in action. In fact, being, uh, how do I put it? It was kind of being demonstrated. It was kind of being tried out in Calicut Medical College. And this was the set of individuals who were mostly doctors, nurses, and some volunteers, of course, who are trying out this new concept in Calicut Medical College. So this was kind of a very interesting experience for me, especially with my engineering background, because typically when you get to see a medical college hospital, which is typically overcrowded. It's always chaos all around, crying and shouting. Uh, Care for the patient is probably the last item on the agenda. So here, in one corner of this medical college, was an area where it was a very pleasant room with music, with drawings, um, good light and ventilation, and a cheerful set of people, I mean, whom we call patients, or we prefer to say people with some disease, persons with diseases. And they were all cheerful. They had a smile on their face. And what was even more uh, unique about it was that most of these people who were there as patients had probably a few months, or in some cases, few days or weeks left in their lives. And that was kind of interesting for me. And that was what, was more curious to know what exactly is happening there. Why is it that people in such conditions are happy there? What is being provided to them? What is it that makes this care so special? And yeah, I was practically pulled in, I would say,
Into that.
and
No,
I
no,
started getting involved. Yeah.
that is something interesting, Binod, because you saw a hospital and your professional expertise was something else, but you were actually, you navigated into an area, onto a terrain where your conscience took you. And I think you let your professional expectations or your expertise wait a bit, but I think your heart took over than your head, if I can put it that way. But I would say I would congratulate you on that particular decision which you took, because today palliative care deserves a lot of attention, and I'm sure that you will agree with me on that particular aspect also. Vinod, tell me something now. First of all, congrats! You have taken over as the chairman of Pallium India. You've taken
Thank
on
you.
the you've taken on the mantle. Tell us something about Pallium India. I mean, its challenges, its success. Yeah, please.
Um, so Pallium India, as you probably know, it was started in 2003. Um, Even though this Calicut model, as we know it, started off in 93, it was in 2003 that Pallium India was set up. Now, we had a different focus when we set up Pallium India. Um, so, what was happening in Calicut Medical College, as I just explained, uh, their palliative care was being demonstrated. And what happened was it was spreading to the neighboring districts in and around Calicut. Now, we wanted to take this to the rest of the country. And that was the whole idea behind forming Pallium India. And that is why it is named Pallium India. So the focus shifted from a regional operation to a larger landscape, bigger canvas, which I believe meant a lot more challenges as well, because um, some of the challenges that were there at that point of time was that, one, availability of opioids, because in palliative care, one major focus for us is pain relief, and especially physical pain. And morphine being considered the gold standard for pain relief, it was essential that it was available in oral form, which was not there in in most other parts of the country. So, if we wanted to take it to the rest of the country, it meant that we needed to change some of the laws, change some of the policies, government policies, and things like that. So, as the WHO says, there are three things which need to come together to provide effective palliative care. So, one is policy, second one is drugs, that is opioids essentially, and education. So, we started focusing on these three components. So, the policy work was mainly at the central level and the state level, working with governments, government agencies, like, for example, the health department, sometimes even the revenue department. Then, of course, that also we also had to ensure that these drugs were available at all these places. And of course, training professionals, the healthcare professionals, including doctors, nurses, social workers, to equip them to handle this kind of situations so even today this remains our focus, and that is why we have only a demonstration center still in Trivandrum. We don't have any other physical facility as far as direct service delivery is concerned in any other part of India. So we demonstrate whatever we want to demonstrate in Trivandrum, Trivandrum district essentially, and then we train people, that is the education part of it, and then we facilitate people who want to set up these centers elsewhere in the country. We try to help them and implement this in their institution or sometimes working with the government. So as you can see, this is more like enabling others, enabling the society, enabling the government to provide palliative care across the country. So that is why we feel our work is very unique and special.
No, it is definitely it is unique because this is a area of concern and challenge, and the challenge which you've taken up is enormous. I mean, hats off to you guys. There's no doubt about that. What I wanted to ask you next is, it's not just the doctors alone, no? Because I was speaking to Dr. Rajagopal or Dr. Asha. It's not just the doctor's job alone. People like you who belong to the non-medical fraternity. I mean, you're from the engineering field. I'm from the educational field. You want people from all walks of life to come together, right? I mean, and have you met? Have you been successful in driving home the message that it is their responsibility too, and not just the doctor?
To a large extent, yes. I would say yes, because see, a country like India, we can't expect the government to take all the responsibility and deliver the kind of care that we are expecting. So it's we believe the community needs to get involved. People like you and me who don't have a formal degree or education background in healthcare need to step in to support this activity. Now, obvious question is, how do people like us get involved? So, of course, one major area is supporting the people who are actively on the field. Like, for example, maybe we'll not be able to prescribe medication for a patient because we don't have a degree. But then we can understand the pain or the suffering the patient or the family is going through. That is fairly simple. We can understand that. We can always get a professional to connect with them and try to solve their problem. So, uh, one major area I would say would be that link between the community and the healthcare system, overall. So training them up, trying to understand people's suffering and stepping in to offer solutions if it is possible. Sometimes it could be even financial support. It could be as simple as providing a food kit for a family which is in deep distress, in poverty. So all these things are areas where a person without any medical degree or even, leave alone a degree, a common man can actually get in. We have proven that. So we have trained people like even auto rickshaw drivers, taxi
Oh, okay.
drivers,
Great, great, great,
who
great.
step in. We have seen situations where for a patient or family, a bus owner or the team, including the driver and the bus conductor, step in and try to raise funds, in a trip, so that they can support this patient or family. So,
Yeah.
so in a lot of ways, the community can get involved and actually support the healthcare system in providing the care. Yeah.
That's something great, Binod. I mean, what you stress now is teamwork. I mean, everybody has to play the game in the true spirit of the game, right? It's just like playing a
Absolutely.
game of it's just like playing a game of cricket or football. I mean, you have to feel properly, or in football, you need to pass properly. That makes the team
Right.
successful. I just want to draw your attention to one of the graphics which you have in your website, Palliative Care, the perception and reality. I found that very interesting. This is for everybody who's seeing us. You have a plant, and you have the different aspects of the plant from the
Right.
grassroots itself. Can you throw some light on this? To be honest, I love that graphic, how you presented it. Now, I just want you to explain to our viewers what exactly you had in mind when you had this in your website.
Yeah. So obviously, for a plant to grow and flower or bring out bear fruits or whatever, it needs a lot of
Care.
care, nourishment. The weather has to be proper, the environment essentially. You may need fertilizers, you may need water. So it's not like, one component alone can create magic. So all these components, the social support. So I'm sure when you had this conversation with Dr. Rajagopal, you would have mentioned this, that we look at four different dimensions, that is physical, psychological, social, and spiritual support. So look, just imagine the kind of care that is required. And obviously, one particular set of people or one particular component of care will not be sufficient. So it involves physical, social, spiritual, emotional, and even financial. Sometimes financial component is often missed. Of course, it falls under social, but that is also important in today's life. So I think that graphic essentially is about all these components coming together to actually nourish the plant and make it blossom. Right? I think you're referring to that
Yes,
specific
yes,
graphic.
very much, because I just love that. Coming to my the last question, Binod, your Pallium India website says current scenario in India, and it says less than 2% of India's 1.2 billion people have access to palliative care. Am I right? Yeah.
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
Of course, in Kerala, which has been very successful in palliative care throughout, what is wrong with the health system? If I can ask you about that, in a country of 1.2 billion. I know I'm asking this question to an engineer, but I'm asking this question to a person who's been closely involved in palliative care. But to a person like me who sees this graphic on screen, less than 2% of India's 1.2 billion population, it's a very disturbing narrative. It's a very disturbing figure for any good citizen to note that. Now, my question to you, Binod, is when can we increase this number? And how can we do it? And how can we do it?
tough question to answer. I think you have put it rightly. It's sad but true that it's only 2% of the population that even has access to the kind of care we're talking about. Um, Now, how do we resolve the situation? So again, I would say that it involves everyone. So we have to accept the fact that it's everybody's business. Health is everybody's business. It's not just we cannot leave it just to the medical professionals or the healthcare professionals alone to solve this. And of course, the government, we can't say that, government is responsible, you take care of it. Now, of course, we know that India belongs to that category we call developing countries, right? Or maybe it's not politically correct today to say the third world country.
No, not at all.
That is where we are. That's the reality. And being in that situation, the priorities for a government are obviously different. I mean, you have to take care of the education, you have to take care of the defense, you have to take, and all these things mean financial resources. And a cash-starved society, it has its own challenges. So now, how do we solve it? Of course, from the government side, you could probably look at increasing the spend. Like for example, a 1% increase will make a huge difference.
You're talking about the GDP, a 1% increase in the GDP, or to the health
no,
to the health budget,
sorry.
to the health budget.
To the health budget. Maybe allocating 1% more to maybe palliative care. That it changes everything. One. Second, and more important, I would say, is basically the awareness. Now, if you need that increase in the to happen, if the government to take that initiative, first of all, they need to be aware and accept the fact that, okay, there is a problem here. We need to have a solution. So the awareness, as far as the government, the policymakers are concerned, is a very important thing. And that is up to people like us to go, like what you're doing today. You're bringing this out to the public. People will start talking about it. People need to go and ask the powers that be, the government officials or the healthcare professionals. I need this. I know that there is something available like this. I need this kind of care. So that is another thing. Again, third, I know I'm putting it 1, 2, 3, but I think the third component is the most important. That is the public to come in, the community to step in. And see, look at what is some of the major things that have happened in the country. It has always been people's movements, whether it is our independence struggle or, look at each of these things. It is, you can't expect the government to take it up and then come out with solutions all of a sudden. So it is the community which has to realize the need and then step in and probably even give that small nudge to the government to make things happen. And in the process, while all this is happening, we play our part, the small things that we can do to relieve the suffering of one of our neighbors at least, someone close to you, maybe a family member, maybe someone in the neighborhood. So we first of all, we open our eyes, try to see the suffering, understand the suffering, and see how you can play a role within the limitations. Maybe all the problems cannot be solved, but one small step at a time. And look at the possibility here. You talked about 1.4 billion people. Now, what is the percentage of people who are actually suffering? And look at the kind of the community force that we have. I call it the social capital out there, the remaining of the 1.4 billion. Now, even if one small action is taken by each of these people, the situation changes. So I believe that is the most important.
Yeah, right. So, Binod Hariharan, thank you so much for joining us. That was Binod Hariharan, Chairman of Pallium India, speaking to us. It was an honor, Binod, to have you with us, and of course, of the work which Pallium India is doing. Thank you so much from all of us at the Open Hour. Thank you so much for joining us. With me, I have Dr. M.R. Rajagopal, who was instrumental in framing the national program for palliative care. He was also awarded the Padma Shri in 2018. His book, Walk with the Weary, was published in 2022. Dr. M.R. Rajagopal has dedicated his life to the cause of patients who deserve palliative care. He runs the Trivandrum Palliative Care Unit, and he was also the chairman emeritus of Pallium India. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Dr. M.R. Rajagopal. Sir, it's an honor to have you with us. It's an honor to have you with us.
I'm sure it's a pleasure and privilege, Mr. Jayan Philip. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. I am speaking to a Nobel Prize nominee. I am speaking to a Padma Shri Award winner, and I'm speaking to the father of palliative care. So my emotions should be kept under control. Sir, as a medical student, did you ever dream of having a palliative care unit of your own or starting this venture of your own, and which would actually spread its wings probably across India?
Not by any means. But before that, let me point out one thing. When I am referred to as the father of palliative care in India, there's a bit of embarrassment because the person who brought palliative care to India for the first time was Dr. Lucito D'Souza, an onco-surgeon in Mumbai, who created the Shanti Avedna Sadan in Mumbai when I had not even heard the term palliative. So very grateful to him for that breakthrough in India. But to come to your specific question, not by any means. I did not. I mean, I had no passion for medicine. I wanted to study literature. Yes, chance brought me into medicine, and I went on floating along for a long time. I honestly did not. Looking back, I don't think I had the confidence to do anything much that was meaningful.
Oh, okay. So your focus area was on literature, was on the Shakespeare's, on the Francis Bacon, and on all these figures which we can speak about in English literature. But then you found yourself being a doctor, and then you took off from there. Dr. Rajagopal, what I wanted to ask you is, what are the challenges you face as far as palliative care is concerned? It's a huge challenge, right? It's a huge challenge.
Anything new is a challenge, Mr. Jayan Philip. Any change is resisted. Human beings like status quo, comfortable. Just go along that path that you are familiar with. When you talk about, say, and as you walk along, you see a beautiful forest out there. You don't know what wild animals are there. You don't venture out often. But sometimes the most precious things are out there. So it's human tendency to resist change. Here, my colleagues and I are talking about a major shift in the focus of healthcare from disease alone to alleviation of suffering. That's not comfortable. So the huge management experts would tell us that resistance to change often takes the form of anger. And the anger very often comes out of fear. Oh my God, what is this man saying? I will have to sit down with every patient and listen to sob stories. I should be I should be focusing on the pathology and the illness. I should not allow emotions to come and interfere. That's what many people are trained to believe. And when I talk about our duty to elevation of suffering, and that suffering is not only pain and breathlessness, it's not only physical, it's also social, it's also
Emotional.
financial, it is also emotional, and it's spiritual. All that maybe makes people a bit afraid without they realizing that they are afraid, and that makes people angry.
Okay,
So
okay.
the those difficulties are guaranteed if you want to do anything out of the ordinary.
But you have done something extraordinary, right? I mean, this is a segment. This is an area in our society which has not received much focus, or which has not received much attention as far as the government is concerned, as far as the society in general is concerned, as far as the community is concerned. I think this is something where you have put your heart and soul into it, and you have made a major breakthrough in that. So, what I wanted to ask you is, you were also instrumental in the Narcotic Drugs and Psychotropic Substances Act. I mean, if I'm not mistaken, it's the NDPS Act of 2014. Could you please brief me on that? Could you please to tell us, for the benefit of the viewers, what exactly
The
is that?
uh, Narcotic Drugs and Psychotropic Substances Act.
Act, yeah.
And if that sounds a little intimidating,
It does. It
that
does. It
that
does.
that feeling is nothing to how intimidating it actually is. If you look at the book, you will faint. It's so huge and complicated. So this act was formulated by Government of India in 1985. The intentions were good. It was part of the global war on drugs. Very often, what happens with major changes is like a pendulum. It's over here and it shifts to the other way, too far out in the other way. So the impact of the global war on drugs was also the NDPS Act of India in 1985. But then it's a bit funny. So you, in a cruel kind of way, uh, the creators of the law did not want a society with people addicted to drugs like opium. Noble thought. So, so Jayan Philip, if you want to keep your house safe as you go out, what do? You have a good lock on your front door.
Yes.
You make sure that the rear door is bolted. You put in your key and lock the front door, and you go
You
in
go.
peace. You don't put 5 different locks and hand over keys to 5 different people.
Not at all.
That would not make sense. If you do that, what happens is you can't get back into the house through the proper way, but the burglar can still break open the rear door and enter.
Very true. Yes.
This is what happened with the law. It effectively stopped legal, licit consumption, availability of medicines for pain relief. It did not have a major impact on abuse, as you can see around you. The burglar still got it.
The burglar still got
But
it. Yeah.
but the healthcare system could no longer open the front door because here they had to go to these different people, excise, drug controller, head of health services. They all had to come together and allow it in. So what happened was in 1985, the opium or morphine produced from it. In 1985, India used to consume about 600 plus kilograms of morphine. After all, such a huge country, almost 1/5 of the global population. The impact of the law that was that between 1985 and 1997, the consumption for licit consumption of opioids for pain relief dropped from 600 kilograms down to 18 kilograms.
Oh, okay. Okay. That's
Now,
interesting. Yeah.
and okay, it's okay. It's good to mention statistics that you can be very unemotional about it. But see it as a growth in the pain burden in the country. If it came down, that means the pain burden in the country went up steeply. So the law had to be changed. It had to. It still. We still want the control. We don't want morphine to be available in any medical store for anybody to go and buy it, and that would be foolishness. We still want the control, but we wanted to improve access to licit entities
Okay.
for pain relief. So it took us 19 years of efforts, but in 2014, the Indian Parliament changed the law
Yeah.
and made it a bit more rational.
Oh, that is a credible achievement as far as I'm concerned, because as you just mentioned, the illicit consumption of the drug is actually destroying lives. I'm sure you would agree with me on that. So we need more safeguards. We need more controls. We need more operating mechanisms, more legislative measures to be in place so that we can stop the massive use of drugs, which is spoiling our younger generation. So what I wanted to ask you is, some of the figures which I got is, as per the 2018 figures, there is only one oncologist in India per a million population. And if you compare that with the US, it's something about 168. Why is this? I mean, is this a major problem?
Uh, Things have changed. I mean, definitely improved from that time. But yes, an oncologist in a high-income country would, if he or she sees about a dozen patients a day, here a doctor may be seeing up to 40 or sometimes even 50 patients a day. So the burden, therefore, is huge, and it's a growing problem because with improved longevity and possibly with other factors also, the incidence of cancer is going up. More are detected.
Yeah.
So the burden is increasing. Yes. But then that disparity is not only in the number of oncologists, it's also in access to cancer treating facilities. How far would it be? Okay, I live in Kerala where it's much better than in other density of population is more, numbers of hospitals are more. It's a bit easier in Kerala than the rest of the country. But consider someone in Bihar, UP, Rajasthan, how many kilometers would they have to travel to get to an oncologist? So those things are improving. It's not improving fast enough.
Okay. Um, Dr. Rajagopal, so what I wanted to ask you again is, in general, this is not related specifically to palliative care. With regard to the health system of our country, I mean, Kerala has, of course, a very robust health system as such. But then when you talk about the national budget, there is a very limited amount of money sanctioned for health. And we do grapple with that situation every time. So, what can be done, according to you, to improve the health system of India as a whole?
Mr. Jayan, we live in a democratic country. We cannot blame someone else. We are responsible. You might have heard your grandmother's kitchen table wisdom, as somebody called it,
Hmm.
that
Yeah.
health is more important than
Then
wealth.
wealth. Yes. Definitely. Definitely.
Any civilized country in the world would spend at least 5% of its GDP on healthcare. Uh, say, a Western European country which is supposed to have perhaps the best healthcare system in the world. We won't talk about USA. No, they don't have the best healthcare system in the world. Western European country, they would be spending at least about 10% of GDP on health. But you know how much we are spending? 1.3% of GDP.
That's very, very less. Very less for
My
a huge
good
country.
God, is there any common sense in that? You can see it all over the world, how healthcare is to be given. And yet, we are not doing it. Why? Because the people are not demanding it. That's what I believe. I mean, this issue, several years back, the government announced that they are going to double it from 1.2% of GDP to 2.4% GDP in 3 years or so, but nothing has happened. It is still abysmally bad. So you mentioned the number of oncologists and access.
Yeah. Yeah.
How can it improve when we do not have the means? Because when we are busy with doing important things and neglecting health, this is what we are asking for.
Yeah. I mean, see, because we are urbanizing on a very massive scale.
Mm.
India's urban
Mm.
population has gone up. The pollution
Mm.
is. I live in Bangalore, sir. I know what we go through every day. Uh, the urbanization has created this problem of excessive pollution. I mean, air, water, etc., and that itself is causing a major health hazard. I mean, is there any solution in sight, sir? Is there any solution in sight? Okay,
You
can we have a
actually
solution? Can we have a
you
solution?
actually mentioned a solution when you asked the question. The if we if the governments run by us gave enough importance to health, would this not improve? It would automatically improve. If uh, if it is destroying health by the overcrowding, pollution, and all that, if we are destroying the concept of own health, where the environment, the animals, and we all have to live in harmony, if we give a little bit of attention to that, these are not problems without solutions. There are much larger cities in the world than Bangalore. Compare their air quality index with what you have.
Yes, yes, I know, I know. I know what
See
I'm
what
saying.
happens in Delhi. So,
Yeah,
why? Because we are simply accepting it and not doing anything much about it, not doing anything near enough because it's comfortable. Because we do not have a public transport system that's effective, we take our car out for one person to travel all the time. And factories that are still in the middle of cities. Why? Because we don't care enough.
yeah, that's very right. Because for example, in New York, there is a Central Park, which is referred to as lungs of New York. We don't have a system like that, where we have enough lung spaces in our cities, because our cities have grown horizontally and not vertically. If you take Singapore or if you take even Dubai, they have grown vertically, whereas we have opted for the horizontal growth, which again is a problem. It's there.
Hey, Mr. Jain,
Yes,
you said Bangalore.
yes.
Isn't it supposed to be the garden city?
Not anymore. Not anymore. So if I can tell you, in 1979, when my mother brought me here, I was surrounded by a canopy of trees. I still remember traveling in the KSI, in the bus in the Bangalore bus. We were surrounded by trees. The Carbon Park was not a carbon park. It was virtually a forest. Look at the transformation of Bangalore. It has become a concrete jungle, and that's where the problem lies.
Sad. Mm.
Okay, Dr. Rajagopal, let me shift my focus to something else. Your book, Walk with the Weary, which was published in 2022. And tell me something about that. Why did you put the title of the book as Walk with the Weary? Is it because it's close to your heart? It's close to your heart?
It is the story of my walk with the weary. It is. I mean, like, the book talks about my journey, how I came across pain as a child, how I came across very cruel pain in a neighbor during my medical student days. And without me realizing it, and again, fate made me become an anesthesiologist. I saw that I had the power to relieve pain, and that was something very meaningful for me. I started doing it. Earlier, we talked about management of change, reactions to change. What I did not mention is, if you do go to the beaten track, some curious people will follow you. You won't be alone. The majority will not follow you, but some will follow you. The tribe grew. The tribe grew to a way I never even had the ability to imagine. The common person in Kerala, the woman and the man on the street, accepted palliative care. And in every village and town, people get together, and the kind-hearted, compassionate people find some happiness in caring for others who are in need. And that, I believe, is a very welcome change for any society. And my book talks about how that journey happened without my pre-planning. We were just taking the courage to go out of the beaten track, and came along a lot of people, and we discovered this. So it also talks about several aspects of the weary people, uh, whose stories I have brought out as illustrative, including about 6 stories of children. And from all those stories, I weave together the essence of the concept of palliative care. And in the last but one chapter, I imagine a researcher from a couple of centuries from now, maybe 14,025, studying the history of medicine. And I wonder, what would that researcher think about modern healthcare? Health is defined as physical, social, and mental well-being. Did you hear that? Physical,
Yes.
social, and mental well-being.
Mental well-being.
Is that what the hospital gives you? Or just think of the statistics from 10 years back. In 1 year, 55 million people are pushed below poverty line by catastrophic health expenditure. That's more than 4% of population, Mr. Jayan.
Yes.
If we are pushing them down below the poverty line, and we call ourselves healthcare professionals, giving physical, social, and mental well-being, isn't that a cruel, absurd, obscene violation of human rights?
Fundamental rights, very much, very much.
And when we incarcerate dying people in intensive care units isolate them from the family, even when disease is incurable. And that's a growing disease in India, specifically to India in the last 25 years. Are we not just violating health to the worst extreme? So I try to get my reader to think from that researcher's point of view and see what's happening to the healthcare system. And I make a call for a transformation that is with a non-violent, peaceful agitation, a transformation that has happened in Kerala to a large extent. To a large extent, it's not good enough, nowhere near good enough. But then I believe it's happening across the country.
Okay.
I see in one of the poorest union territories of the country, Lakshadweep, I see the community getting together to solve their problems so well.
Okay. Okay. That's
Yeah.
encouraging. In the Union Territory of Lakshadweep, if things have changing. So I just wanted to ask you one more important question. Strategically speaking, we spoke about the health system in detail, and you gave us very useful insights. What is the solution? I mean, do we have a solution? Do we see light at the end of the tunnel? Can we do something about this? Because our young medical professionals who are coming out, people say we don't have the required number of medical colleges to recruit doctors, young doctors, we don't have a good rural based health system, because if you take our rural healthcare, that is not very good. It's not good at all, I mean, to be very honest. So what, according to you, sir, is this solution, or what can be the solution?
I'm glad to say, I have been mourning about problems all through the interview. But
That's okay.
let me give you some good news. It's already happening. Things
Good.
are changing. You mentioned the National Program for Palliative Care, national.
Yes.
The law has changed. The National Health Policy of 2017 includes palliative care. From 2019, palliative care is in the curriculum. From 2022, it's there in the nursing curriculum, not only medical nursing also. These are dramatic changes. What am I coming to? I am coming to the fact that palliative care is in the process of getting integrated into healthcare. And if now I clarify that palliative care is not only for the dying people, it's not only for cancer, it's for all serious health-related suffering. What is happening is that the healthcare system altogether is accepting its duty to relieve health-related suffering.
Okay.
That's a giant step forward. Change is happening. Things change slowly in our country. When a
That's
change
true.
is slow, it's not visible. A sudden transformation is very visible. Otherwise, you take it for granted. In Kerala, you travel by a train and you hear somebody talking about, oh, my uncle, he has been shifted to palliative care, as if that was a very familiar word. So, what am I saying? Integration of palliative care into all healthcare really means the whole healthcare accepting its duty to relieve suffering,
Okay.
to not cause suffering as much as possible, and to relieve suffering.
Okay.
That may not be worded so in the same way in the national health policy, but it's there.
That's a welcome step. That's good to hear, doctor.
Can I say one more thing, Mr.
Yes,
Jain?
yes, sir.
So, what's necessary is your participation.
I was
When I
going
say
to come to
your,
that. Yeah.
I don't mean only Mr. Jayan Philip. I mean everyone who is listening to this, and I mean everyone who is not listening to this. Healthcare. You sometimes think of healthcare as something that the doctors and nurses drop on your plate. healthcare is Mr. Jayan Philip's healthcare is being taken care of by whom? Mr. Jayan Philip and his family more than anybody else. Isn't it? It's so obvious. Why do you take a morning walk? Why do somebody go to the gym? Why does somebody take this effort to lay off too much of fat? That what doctors and hospitals can do is much less than what every individual can do. And when you hear somebody crying out in your apartment, if you are in 17th floor C apartment, if you cry in 17B, if you care to knock on the door and go in and see what we can help, if we bring that culture back of neighborhood, that's lost, isn't it? In the high-rise buildings, you don't even know who the next door neighbor is sometimes.
Very true. Very true.
If see what a sad state of affairs is, because when the society has accepted healthcare as a personal responsibility and a collective responsibility, you know what to do about it. Not just go to hospitals, but how to live better, how to care for your neighbors. Jayan Philip in Kerala, more than 350 small non-government organizations exist. In villages, in small towns, more than 200 of them are registered charitable organizations. They do what they can to help their neighbor in trouble. They love their neighbor.
Love your neighbor. Yeah.
Yeah, they do that. They make it visible. Not only in the morning for 1 hour in the church, but in everyday life. Is that so hard? And when we make it happen, when the community is engaged in healthcare, accepts, when Mr. Jayan Philip and family accept that your health is your responsibility, but maybe your neighbor's health is also your responsibility if they are in trouble.
Very true.
And that is happening. Once it is made visible, people will see it. Not everybody. It's not necessary. A substantial number of the public, the population, accepting that and living that. Okay, in the Residents Association, there would be one initiative for palliative care. For the 94 apartments, even if 15 people come in, they will see how the person on the wheelchair needs a ramp, how that person needs to get into the park. And maybe the people sitting there in boredom from day to day will take 2 hours every week to take that person with disability to the park, or to go to the drugstore to get the necessary medicine for a lonely family.
So what you're saying is we all should be good Samaritans, and so that will make the society an inclusive one.
What I'm saying is, the people who have the good Samaritan spirit in them should, when they are allowed to get together, when you are given the permission to be compassionate, and you show a demonstrable model, then the drive increases. Please give this a thought. Okay, I hope Mr. Jayan Philip will give the contact information for Pallium India.
Definitely, 200%.
Would you like to start an initiative in your own apartment house?
Why not?
Complex?
Why
and
not?
then we can give you share our experience, show you the path. Maybe you will strike a different path, but accept responsibility that love thy neighbor.
Well said.
Healthcare is not only the doctor's affair. Healthcare is for everybody's
Very
responsibility.
true. Very true. That is. It goes without saying. So, if I can ask you, you spoke about the health system. You spoke about your initiative, the Pallium India. Did you have a hero to look up to? You are a hero to others. Did you have a hero, like, let's say, for me personally, it was always Mahatma Gandhi and Nelson Mandela. For you, was it somebody like Mother Teresa, or somebody in the medical field itself?
I have written about it in my book also. It is just one person, Mahatma Gandhi.
Oh wow, okay.
I hope nobody will call me a Gandhian. I am a non-vegetarian. I am not a celibate, but I from my school days I have been attracted by him, and I think sometimes when I read some things, one sentence that he greatly influenced me by was uh, think of the humblest, not
Mhm.
exactly word to word,
Yeah, yeah.
and the poorest
The poorest,
person you
yes.
can think of, and think whether the step you contemplate is going to be of any use to that person.
Yes.
It is comfortable not to think about the poorest and the humblest person, but I have always tried, or not I. Why am I saying I? That's so arrogant of me.
No, it's not.
My colleagues and I have always tried to look for the most vulnerable people and make sure that they get equitable care. Equal care is not enough. Equitable
Equitable.
care is the vulnerable people should get more care, and that is what Mahatma Gandhi taught me. He also told me through his actions that it's okay to fail, but
Yes.
it's not okay not to try.
Not to try.
So everybody who is listening, please remember that when you think next time about that, initiating that palliative care service in your apartment complex, and hope it will not be serving only the people in your apartment house. I hope it will serve also a surrounding area. You are the maid who comes to your house every day, maybe the beggar abandoned on the street. Maybe the little bit that we can do will make a sea change for those people.
I mean, you speak about the transformative change which can come in, and that is very, very true. Sir, my last question to you. We've been talking for a long time, and I enjoyed the conversation. So will our viewers, all those who are seeing this, because of the transformation itself which you have created and which you have brought in. So tell us about that day when you received the Padma Shri in 2018, when you stood in front of the president and took that award. What were the emotions you went through? Can
Oh,
you
it
take me
was.
to that day? Can you take me to that day?
So, uh, see, human beings have the habit of looking on the negative. I'm sorry that I could not take my wife with me. We
Oh,
happened to be in USA at that time, and she was with my son and the family in California. I happened to be in New York attending meetings, so I had to travel by myself. But then I am so happy that my son could join me, my sister could join me. That was the first time I went into the Rashtrapati Bhavan. There are some areas open to the public on specific days. I had never been a tourist venturing into that. So it was, of course, it was such a huge honor. It was also the full awareness that there's a lot of injustice also with any justice that goes along. How many people across the country would be doing so much more and never getting recognized? Then element of luck comes in there, but it was a beautiful feeling, certainly, to stand before Rashtrapati and receive it with the Prime Minister and so many people sitting there and watching. Oh, it was a great thing for my ego. It was about to burst and I barely managed to contain it.
Okay. But you speak about Padma Shri, but were you astonished? Were you sort of surprised when you were nominated for the Nobel Peace Prize? You were one among the 300 or so when you were nominated for the Nobel Peace Prize. That is a coveted prize, right?
But I also knew that hundreds of people are nominated. As you mentioned, 300 plus people are nominated every year. So, I mean, it was again such a huge honor. Hey, listen, I'm not supposed to talk about it. Just wait a little while. When I'm 120 years old, we will talk about it. Because Nobel Prize nominees are not supposed to talk about it for 50 years.
Oh my God. Okay. I never knew this rule. Sorry for that. Because even Gandhiji was nominated for the Nobel Peace Prize 5 times. So, okay.
But that is something that even today, I'm sure the Nobel Committee holds with shame.
Yes.
And they have acknowledged that.
They have
expressed that Gandhiji did not get it.
Yes, when Gandhiji did not get it for many reasons, which even as a researcher, I was not able to figure out why they rejected Gandhiji 5 times, not just once. Thank you so much, Dr. M.R. Rajagopal. It was a great honor to have you with us, to speak to a Padma Shri Award winner and to a person who has brought transformative changes in palliative care, not just in the state of Kerala, but elsewhere also. So from all of us here at the Open Hour, thank you so much, Dr. Rajagopal, and we intend to take your message across. Thank you so much.
Thank you for this opportunity.
Yeah.
This is what palliative care is about, but I truly believe that this is what healthcare as a whole should be about building lives, not about destroying lives. In the developing world, the profit-making industry goes unchecked. The way medical science is progressing, there is a tendency for doctors to be human machines, diagnosing diseases and attacking the disease. Somewhere, medical practice lost a bit of the heart. It's all brain now. As a medical student, I did not see a lot of compassion around me. There was a lot of suffering. It's a huge privilege that comes to a tiny minority of human beings to influence others as much as a doctor or nurse can. As a schoolboy, I read Mahatma Gandhi, which I think had a huge influence on me. There's a marginalized section of the society, a large chunk of the society, about whom nobody seems to bother about, and he reminds me not to forget them. Medicine has to refocus and concentrate on the quality of life of our patients and families. I swear to fulfill, to the best of my ability and judgment, this covenant. The Hippocratic Oath asked me to treat my patient with warmth, sympathy, and understanding. Once we are able to practice it, we are able to make the Hippocratic Oath come alive. It lives then. It doesn't live till then.
Dr. Asha Deshmukh, the Open Hour welcomes you to this conversation on the palliative care. Dr. Asha, thank you so much for joining us from Nasik.
Thank you
Asha,
so much for having me.
thank you. Dr. Asha, what are the challenges you see in terms of palliative care? And why is it so
Well,
passionate to your heart? Why is it so close to
it
your
is
heart?
it is so close to my heart because I would like to say that this happened to me one day in the ICU when I was dealing with a patient whose daughter, who's also a doctor, came to me and said, I think you should be doing this palliative care because it is all that you stand for. And I felt I should go and look up and see what this is about because I didn't know anything about it. Even though I'm a specialist, I didn't know much about it 2 years ago. Okay, so you can understand how ill-informed people are about palliative care, even specialists. Okay, because I didn't have a clue about what palliative care was 2 years ago, to be precise. And they say, like what is yours will find you. So I think palliative care found me is what I would rightly go ahead and say, because it is the most wonderful and the most amazing branch which puts back the missing nobility in the noble field of medicine is what I would say about palliative care. So I was saying that palliative care found me rightly because this is something that each and every doctor should know and practice in their everyday dealings with the patient. You don't need to be a palliative care specialist to dish out principles of palliative care when you are with a patient is what I truly believe in. And that is what I have been doing because I have done courses with the IAPC and whatever little palliative care that I know, not like a great MD palliative care specialist, let me say. I'm not practicing it for 10 years, 15 years, but whatever little palliative care that I know of as an intensivist, I truly practice it with all of my patients in the ICU every day. And that I think is success to me. Okay. So, yeah. So that's how palliative care happened to me. And the challenges that you asked for, you asked me about the challenges in palliative care, would truly stem from the fact that it has been brandished as something that is for patients who have end of life, who are only with cancers, which I think is absolutely wrong because palliative care is for all. Even if a patient goes to a doctor's clinic, let me say, and he is troubled by his disease, he sits down and the doctor actively listens to what the patient is saying, giving his time. That itself is palliative care. So you cannot separate palliative care as a standalone branch saying this is only for cancer patients, this is only for people who are at the end of their life with extremely serious illness where you need only morphine. No. Palliative care is also when you actively listen with kindness and compassion to the one who is suffering. That is also palliative care, according to me. So each and every doctor should practice palliative care as part of their everyday dealings with the patient that they see. That is what I believe. Yeah.
Uh, Dr. Asha, I understand. I do take your point when you mention about these challenges, and of course, the fact that palliative care needs utmost care as such from our side also. Don't you see that it is not just the doctor's responsibility alone as far as palliative care is concerned? Don't you see the citizen outside, the non-medical fraternity or the non-medical professional sector has to come in here, right? Because this health is wealth for all. It's not health is not the health for the doctors alone, because health is the wealth for all. So how can you make it more inclusive? What would you suggest on that?
Yeah, so I agree with you. And I think health should not be placed only in the hands of the healthcare personnel. It should be for everyone because it's everybody's business. It's not only the medical community's business. So you are right. But I believe because we have a slightly higher edge over here because we've gone to medical college, we know the disease, we know the patient. I think doctors should foremost, come and get themselves involved in spreading this to the community. Okay, so we need to have more awareness sessions, more awareness talks, not only about health and palliative care, but also about death itself. So I think we are a very death illiterate country as of now, and there is a lot of fear associated with death. And because I work in the ICU, I know that most of the time, even if the patient may not want to be on the ventilator, the family would want to do everything in their hands to do the best for the patient till the end. Now, who defines what is the end? You see, I mean, the end could simply mean like a dragonfly, okay, which lives just for weeks to months, but it makes someone happy all the time because it is beautiful. So I think that all of these things need to be put forth to the public in small bits that they can chew on, not in large chunks or large mouthfuls that it becomes overwhelming for them to, understand this. Like, let's say something like organ donation. So something like organ donation, yeah. Now, let's say 20 years, 30 years ago, we were not so informed about it. We still are not. I mean, a country who readily comes ahead and donates organs, but still we're trying a bit, all right? So I think that is because we have a lot of awareness about it even before the patient is ready to donate his organs. Now, let's say there is someone who's undergone who has had a road traffic accident and who is in my ICU. I can't go and put forth a topic like organ donation when he is in the ICU, correct? To the family. I need to prime family, the people, the public beforehand for something serious as that. Truly enough for palliative care also. You can't just expect everyone to know about it without speaking about it. So I think the ones who know about it should actually come forth and spread awareness about palliative care so it actually gets the due worth that it needs to get, which I still don't think it has, even after so many years. That's what I believe in.
When we speak about palliative care, as you have just mentioned, that a lot more needs to be done, not just by the medical fraternity, but by the society as a whole. That is there. Dr. Asha, I just wanted to ask you, the statistics for cancer-related patients or the cancer cases in India are pretty disturbing. I mean, even in terms of oncologists, there's only one oncologist per million as far as India is concerned. But for US, it's around about 168 oncologists for 1 million. That is quite disturbing. And look at the increasing number of cancer cases. In 2025, I think the number is expected to be 15.75 lakhs, if I'm not mistaken, by what the latest statistics is. As a country, do you think we are not equipped to deal with these cases alone?
You know what happened in COVID? When COVID struck us, we thought COVID was the biggest problem we had. We conveniently forgot about all the other diseases. Patients were dying with those diseases also. And I would like to compare that with this scenario right now for palliative care, that we forget that there are so many other chronic life-limiting illnesses which require palliative care, because only 30% of our patients are cancer patients who need palliative care. Everything else is non-onco, non-cancer palliative care. So I think we need to dish out palliative care for anyone and everyone. And it's not just cancer, which is a big myth about palliative care. And if we don't change this, it's just going to remain where it is right now, is what I feel. I know we are doing a great job for cancer-related pain relief and palliative care, but it's just going to remain the same way if we don't expand it to other chronic, non-cancer, life-limiting illnesses also. That would be my answer. Yeah.
Okay. No, because what you just mentioned, only 30% of the cases of palliative care are chronic, are cancer-affected cases. Oh, that is a new trend which I never knew. Okay, Dr. Asha, you, from what I understand, is you are involved in a great philanthropical initiative in your hometown, Nasik, where you plan to come up with a palliative care unit of your own called Sparky. Have I pronounced it correctly?
Yes.
Why? Before
Sparky
going into that,
Palliative Care Foundation.
Yeah, why did you choose that? What is Sparky?
The E in Sparky is for Elohim, which is God in Hebrew. So I wrote to God to help us.
Oh, good. That is very, very innovative on your very creative.
It is. And you see what happened when I put in that E, that little Elohim. Sparky, which had no meaning, became Sparky, which means we now have the key to compassion and care. It is an actual word with an actual meaning because I included God.
Oh, that is great.
So what is special about Sparky is that it is going to be the first home care service in all of Nasik. That's one special thing. The second thing would be that eventually we plan to have it nurse-led. Because I truly believe that nurses are not given their worth in the medical world itself. you see. And I believe, like a jigsaw puzzle, if you want to finish a puzzle, each and every one of that piece is important to finish that puzzle, you see. Like if I'm an intensivist, I can't function without a nurse or a physiotherapist or even the helper in the hospital. Each and every one of us has roles to play for that picture to complete. Nurses spend more time with the patient as compared to a doctor. So, I mean, truly, I think a nurse should be the backbone of home care services. Eventually, it will. Maybe the next time you take my interview, I will tell you that, oh, hey, we've now become a nurse-led team. So,
You have looked up to Pallium India, Dr. Rajagopal, also.
Yes, yeah. Hey, I didn't tell you a little bit more. So the other thing about Sparky would be that we would focus a lot about mental palliative care also, which most people don't do, except for Nimans in Bangalore, I believe. I think. Yeah. So because I believe that every disease, every physical disease stems from a thought, from an emotion. If it is not handled well, if it is allowed to fester and grow, it eventually becomes a big problem. Okay, so I think we would like to tap mental illness, not frank psychotic mental illness. No, even a little bit of anxiety, even a little bit of heartache, even a little bit of something that's troubling you. Okay, if we can tap it early on at the home level, because the home is a place where everyone is comfortable to talk to someone else. So if such help is available at home, always better for the patient and the family. So if they can speak out their troubles, their problems at home, that is in a place that they are comfortable in, I think a lot of cases of, let's say, adolescent suicides, anxiety, I think Sparky will address those things also, to be compassionate to people who are actually living with that chronic illness, where the doctors, the specialists are doing their best, of course, with their knowledge to help the patient. But I think we need to see the patient as a whole, as a person, as someone who has the disease in him, okay, and not the disease itself, because that's what stares at you when you read a report. Yeah, this patient is not only the disease. The patient is so much more than the disease also. That I think will be addressed by Sparky Palliative Care Foundation. Yeah.
It was an honor for me and everybody here at the Open Hour to speak to you. I mean, let 1,000 flowers bloom in Sparky and sparkle the best in you. And all our best wishes to all the Sparkies, if I can put it like that. All the very best, Asha. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much, Dr. Jayan, for your time. And I hope I can actually affect change in many who are watching this, that they understand that health is everyone's business. Yeah, and more people volunteer to be involved in healthcare, be it Pallium, be it many others in Bangalore, many other such institutes in Bangalore, or even Nasik. I'm just a phone call away. You can call me.
You will. Thank you. Thank you, Asha.
Yes.
Thank you, Asha.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We have come to the conclusion of palliative care, realities, complexities, and challenges. Palliative care is probably in the intensive care today. We need more people to be involved. We need the citizen to be actively involved in this particular area of medicine. It is not just the cancer-related issues, but there are many chronic illnesses which need care and which needs attention. So, ladies and gentlemen, this episode is especially for those who intend to take on the medical profession and who intend to be good Samaritans in this field. As a society which needs to be inclusive and proactive, we need to come together to help our fellow brethren, to help our neighbor who needs care or who needs attention. Personally, I also have gone through a tough time because I lost my mother in 2022 due to cancer. But I did not take palliative care because my wife and children were there to help her out along with me. And of course, the entire hospital fraternity, that is the Bangalore Baptist Hospital, who took care of her. But there are many millions and millions across different sections of the Indian society and across the world who deserve and who need palliative care. Can we and will we lend a helping hand to them? We need to and we should. Please be in touch with the Open Hour we will get in touch with the Pallium India and Sparky Foundation, Nasik. Thank you so much for joining us.